Norma Campbell. Quincy Campbell. Conaway. Collishaw. Cutler. Dahlgren. Day. Day. Duran. Ginsburg. Givens. Glassmeyer. Gottiger. Jane Ann Gottiger. Gould. Gould. Greenwood. Haas. Harchin. Holmes. Hurst. Hutcherson. Jackson. Kagan. Kammerer. Kerwin. Crone. Lamagno. Lacey. Langford. Lepilbit. Lehman. Lowe. Lopez. Lopes. McAllister. Martin. McGrath. Mitchell. Molnar. Monjay. Morris. Pardini Plas. Park. Payne. Placencia. Purcell. Richards. Riley. Richard Riley. Rios. Rolfe. Rosenberg. Ryan. Schwartz. Sarin. Chance. Segrist. Sonnefield. Sorensen. Sorensen. John and Dorothy. Thank you. Salma. Stout. Sullivan. Taylor. Tom. Tucker. George Tucker. Martin Tucker. Nancy Walker. Warren. Weintraub. White. Wilson. Wolf. Iacovoni. Here. Thank you. Thank you. We have a quorum. Gould is present. Thank you. Gottiger here. Okay. Conaway is here. Campbell is here. I have you. Ryan and Schwartz. Thank you. Mr. Speaker, we have a quorum.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. The Assembly is now in session. We'd like to ask the Sergeant at Arms to prepare the chamber and bring in any members that are absent. Oftentimes we have members that are out in the corridor, and we encourage them to come in. And actually, once the Assembly's in session, we are not allowed to leave. They have the doors locked, and the only way you can get out is with a note from the Speaker. Reminds me of high school days. I always get a kick out of one of our members, Gene Fuller, who is a school superintendent, one of the largest school districts in the state. And when she leaves the chamber, she has to get a note so she can leave. We ask the guests and visitors in the rear of the chamber and the gallery to please stand for the prayer. At this time, we would like to ask Assembly Member Nancy Wallace to offer the prayer. We have the microphone.
First of all, welcome, fellow advocates. Please bow with me. Father God, we ask your blessing on this session. May all our decisions be made right by you. May we be pleasing to you. Please give everybody a safe trip home, and thank you for this wonderful experience of the American way of living and being able to make our decisions this way. Thank you, Father God. Amen.
A correction, it's Nancy Walker, not Wallace. I apologize. We ask our guests and visitors to remain standing. The flag salute will be led by Terry Conaway. To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. Before we continue, I would ask a favor of those in the audience that have served in the military. We just saluted a flag that represents freedom that everyone in the world looks at as the American flag that does represent freedom. And because we have men and women that have served our military to provide us with this freedom, I'd like to have those members that have served in the military to please stand. Okay, we're going to take a moment and start on my right. And would you please introduce yourself and the branch of service that you represent?
Vince Agor, PSA 22, Orange County, U.S. Coast Guard, 31 years.
Thank you. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Ted Kagan, U.S. Army, PS 23.
Don McAllister, PSA 22, U.S. Navy, 1950-1953.
Thank you, Don. Thank you, sir. Very good. Thank you. Thank you.
Leo Sullivan, U.S. Air Force.
Charles Chuck Molnar, PSA 13, General Patton's 3rd Armored Division, Fort Benning, Georgia, 1954-1956.
I will try it again. Leo Sullivan, PSA 21, United States Air Force.
Luis Monge, PSA 23, U.S. Army.
Thank you, sir.
Gary Conway, U.S. Navy, 1956 to 76, PSA 20.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
George Tucker, PSA 9, First Lieutenant, the Korean War, the Forgotten War.
Thank you.
Michael Lee Pilbit, PSA 3, United States Army, 1966 to 2000.
Very good, sir. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Let's give a warm hand to these brave men. Thank you very much. Thank you. You know, so many times we seem to forget the veterans of this country, and they're all around us. So we're very thankful and appreciate it. The history of this chamber, it was actually, they started construction in 1860, and it took about 7 years. President Lincoln was the president at that time. The desks that you're seated at were actually built in San Francisco. They were manufactured in San Francisco in 1869. And my desk, the third seat, first row, was actually occupied by Governor Wilson when he was in the state legislature. So there's a lot of history in this room. President Kennedy, when he was president, addressed the state legislature. We've had several presidents, kings, queens, dignitaries from all over the world have met in this chamber. So every time I walk in here, I just say to myself how thankful and how proud I am to be able to serve in this body. We have our legislative clerk, Tim Reardon, and we have two sergeant at arms, Michael Lacey and Thomas Rios. Now, we have an agenda. We're getting ready to start with a consent calendar, and I'd like to hear if we have a motion, and I do believe, Mr. Reardon, that we will be reading each item individually, and then we'll vote on it in one. Okay. So, Mr. Clerk, if you'd like to start.
Yes. SP1, requirements for restroom and dressing room doors to open outward, introduced by Senator Cox, co-author Assembly Member Dahlgren. SP5, home mortgages foreclosure, Senior Senator Jaffe. SP6, 442nd Regimental Combat Team Day, introduced by Senator London, co-authored by Assembly Members Lepelbit and Rolfe. SP8, Housing Security, Seniors, by Senior Senator London. SP10, Silver Alert Program, introduced by Senior Senator Murphy, co-authored by Senior Assembly Member Sonnefeld. SP12, Emergency Roadside Assistance to Disabled Persons, Senior Senator Smith, authored. SP13, building standards, staircase handrails, introduced by Senior Senator Steyer. SP 17, conservatee and dependent adult abduction, introduced by Senior Senator Fromm, co-authored by Senior Assembly Member Tucker. SFP 3, federal annuitants, health insurance premiums, introduced by Senior Senator London. SFP 4, Medicare discharge rights notice, introduced by Senior Senator Thompson. And that is the consent calendar.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. We have 10 items that we will be voting on. Is there anyone that wishes to pull an item for a separate vote? Is there anyone that would like to make a motion to move the 10 items? We have a motion and a second. Would there be anyone that would like to speak in favor of any of the proposals? Anyone speak in opposition to any of the proposals? Seeing none, then we would have all in favor? Aye. The consent calendar has been approved. Okay, next we have proposals that are approved without change from the committees. The first one is SP 9, which is a state issue. Mr. Clerk?
Yes. SP 9, statewide elder care protection courts, introduced by Senator London. Do we have an author to present the bill?
Okay, what usually happens in a situation like this, a senator that has a proposal through their office would contact an assembly member that would present the bill, in this case the proposal, before the assembly. So could we have someone that would present it? Yes, ma'am.
Lauren Rolfe, PSA 28. I can speak to this bill.
Please do.
The purpose of the bill is to try to encourage every municipality, every county in the state to have a specified court for elder types of activities. We all know that even in elder abuse situations and even in other types of conservator or other kinds of legal situations, that seniors sometimes get lost in the shuffle. They may be confused about paperwork. They may not have the appropriate help with it. Certainly in elder abuse cases, very often justice is not served because the senior passes away before justice can be, before it even gets to the court. We have found in some counties where they do have dedicated elder courts that the process goes much smoother, it goes faster, you get people within the system that, professionals that become more aware of and more skilled at dealing with elder issues. And so this bill would propose to encourage every county to dedicate an elder justice court.
Very good. Thank you. Do we have any assembly member that wish to speak in favor?
I rise in support of this bill.
Okay. Thank you.
And being one of the counties that has an elder court, I strongly support this as well.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any assembly member that wish to speak in opposition? Yes, sir.
Dieter Kammer, PSA 22. I think it's a good idea, except for one problem, especially in the smaller judicial districts. They just don't have the availability of separating a court for this purpose. It would be financially very difficult, among other things. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have anyone else that wish to speak in opposition? Seeing none, would request a roll call vote. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. We're not in the Senate today. We're in the Assembly. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Those opposed? The ayes.
Raise the hands of the noes. Thank you.
The ayes have it. Any abstentions? Seeing none, proposal is passed. The second proposal is SFP1. Mr. Clerk.
SFP1, Social Security Financing. Senior Senator Eaton, Assembly author, Member Glassmeyer.
Mr. Speaker, June Glassmeyer from PSA 18. And this proposal was written to get the attention of Congress to stabilize the funding for Social Security and Medicare. Nothing was paid in this year, and there's a proposal that no payroll taxes will be paid in next year to stabilize the funding, and it's really to just get the attention of Congress to fix the problem.
Very good. Do we have any Assembly members wish to speak in favor of the proposal? Yes, sir.
Vince Agor, PSA 22. I'm in favor of this proposal.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak in favor of the proposal? Yes, ma'am.
Senior Assembly Member Fran Givens, PSA 20. I would speak in favor, and I still would I'd like to request the page numbers given. Thank you.
Now, do we have any members that wish to speak in opposition? Seeing none, we can have the roll call vote. All in favor of the proposition, please state aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Seeing none? Abstentions? Again, seeing none, proposal has been approved. Now we go into those proposals that were amended in committee. We have one. Mr. Clerk, it is SP4.
Could we get, Ms. Anderson, could we get the page?
You said SP4?
It says 207.
SP4. The proposal we have in front of us is SP4.
Okay, I'm going to speak on behalf of that.
Let me read,
My name
please.
is Shirley Crone from SFP7. SFP7, oh brother. PSA 7. And I will speak for Senator Kim Selby.
How are you?
Many facilities around the state have installed automatic external defibrillators. This proposal would require that anyone who acquires one of these devices must maintain and train personnel in their use. They must also notify their local emergency medical service agency of the existence. Additionally, a universal symbol should be developed, displayed outside the facility, and a public education program be conducted. It doesn't make sense to have one of these devices within a facility without any indication that it's there, and having a sign indicating its existence could save lives. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have anyone to speak in favor? Yes, ma'am.
Nancy Walker, PSA 14. I strongly urge you people to vote for this. I have a granddaughter that at 2.5, she had open heart surgery at 9 months. She wears a defibrillator and a pacemaker, and she's 14 years old now. Her activity is limited. This is so needed to have, and I mean, if you remember years and years ago, buildings were marked if there was an air raid shelter or something. It would simply be a way to identify. I've checked at several malls. They usually have 2 or 3 in a mall. They're trying to get them into all the schools. They're very simple to use. You open it up and the instruction is right there. You're not held liable if somebody doesn't make it. And I just urge you to pass this. It's very desperately needed. Thank you.
Thank you. I believe we have 2 speakers.
Michael Pilbit, PSA 3. I'm standing in support of this bill. It hits real close to home. The first responders showed up when my father had a heart attack and for some reason didn't even have one in their vehicle, and my father didn't make it as a result of not having a defibrillator. So I stand in support of this. That it's very important.
Okay, thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. For the reasons already cited, I strongly urge everyone to support it.
For the record, would you state your name?
Oh, sorry. Alice Lowe from PSA 17.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have any additional speakers? This is a very important proposal, so yes, ma'am.
Gloria Plasencia, PSA 4. I completely agree with the fact of them being marked correctly. However, if a store or somebody puts out a defibrillator, has it marked, according to this, they would also have to train personnel. So this would be an ongoing thing. So we're creating a burden on somebody who's trying to do something good. If their personnel are not trained and something happens, then are they going to be responsible? There has to be some clarification on whether it is their responsibility to train everybody around it, like say in a mall.
Is there anyone that could respond to that?
Point of order.
Yes, ma'am.
We are supposed to have 2 for, 2 against.
I know, and I've had a hard time counting. I apologize.
You're forgiven.
Okay.
This will be the second against, and only because I'm concerned that it might dissuade or keep some people from getting a defibrillator if the requirements are too strict. Thank you.
Okay, we've had those speak in favor. We've also had some speak in opposition. What I'd like to do now is take the vote. All those in favor of SB 4, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Those abstaining?
Thank you.
Proposition SP4 has been approved. Yes, sir.
Arthur Sarin, SP 23. AP 23. I didn't hear you call AP 24. Did you call it?
We're only doing the Senate bills, proposals.
Thank you.
Okay, I believe that is it for our agenda today. At this stage? Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, that concludes my portion of this meeting, and I'd like to tell each and every one of you how proud I am to be here with you today. Thank you.
Been proper enough. Thank you.
We do have a little business to cover here, and then we'll take a break. If I could have Senior Assembly Member Gould, Glassmeyer, come up front, please, and help me out with this. And Crone. What we're going to do is hand out the Code of Ethics, because I think it's time that we review. Everyone needs to review the Code of Ethics. Can you just distribute those? I'm not going to read them to you. They're going to be handed out. I would like for everyone to refresh your memories on the Code of Ethics that we've all signed and covered. The reason we're kind of doing this is every now and then we just need a refresher. It seems that, well, actually something kind of happened at the lieutenant's, at the breakfast. And we just need to remember how we need to follow our manners when we are here representing the seniors for the whole state of California. So if you don't mind, just read through these one more time. It's a little refresher. Then we are going to take a break. If you can return at 11 o'clock, we will complete this session for this morning. So should we wait? I've been advised that we're going to wait for just a few minutes before we take a break to see if any concurrent items are coming over. Is that correct?
Madam
Okay.
Chair, point of order. Aren't we supposed to be back?
Can you please stand? I don't know who's talking.
Sure. Dieter Camera.
Your name, please?
Dieter Camera, PSA 22. I believe our schedule says we're supposed to be, come back at 10:30 for the rest of the business, not 11. But it's up to
Well,
you.
no, what I just said is we're going to wait while we're checking to see if there's paperwork that's coming over so that we don't have to take too many fragmented breaks. Does that make sense? Of course that makes sense. In the meantime, just go over the Code of Ethics. Thank you for distributing those.
Madam Chair, we didn't get a code of ethics over here.
I'm sorry. I didn't understand any of that, but I'm sure it's proper.
Madam Chairman, I did not receive a copy of the Code of Ethics.
Well, we're out of them, is that right? Here, you may have mine. Oh, there. Thank you, Terry Conaway, very much. Do you have a copy now? Thank you. This is just for your information. I'm not asking for everyone to sign it. This is called a little refresher course. This is not a formal, demand. While we're waiting, it gives you a chance to read it. Are there any questions? Senior Assembly Member Dahlgren.
Yes, Madam Speaker, you were going to tell a story about something that happened at the breakfast?
Well, we talked about what happened at the breakfast. I'm almost embarrassed to say it. What happens, it appears, is that someone reached into a fruit bowl that had been catered with their raw fingers to get some fruit. Therefore, the whole fruit bowl had to be thrown away. And that's why we're having this little refresher course. I guess. I just wasn't going to tell that story because I think it's kind of embarrassing. What, the fruit bowl? For you, Senior Assembly Member Gottiger, it is number 14. It's called the fruit bowl. Yes, Senior Assembly Member Hurst.
So we're not to get caught with our hand in the fruit bowl.
Yes, but you were caught, so. He's checking. Then, did you ask? The other project, if you've seen us talking to each other up here, is we're trying to get the list of the candidates for introduction at 10:30. And I don't have the list, but it's being worked on, and we'll have it in a few minutes. I thought that was interesting to get a little bit of history about the desk and the room here. This is such an, I never fail. Oh, we have some guests upstairs in the gallery. Hello, welcome. We're just waiting for some paperwork to come through. And I've been told that this is quite common, that we get to wait for paperwork. Okay, the word is out. We take a break until 10 o'clock. You have a chance to stretch and take a little walk or whatever, but do be back at 10 o'clock. The paperwork should be in. Yes?
Can I just say one thing?
Please introduce yourself.
I'm Evelyn Tom from PSA 8. I first want to tell you that last night when Governor Brown came, we owe a debt to Senior Assembly Member Quincy Campbell, because he's the one that talked him into coming, and also to Senior Senator Joe Cox, who actually, right after the governor got elected, we went after to get him to our session. So on your way out the door, make sure you pat Quincy on the back, because he worked all year to get him to come to our session last night. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you, Quincy. Do you want to stand so that everyone knows who you are? Thank you. Good work. Good work. Okay, we are taking a break until 10 o'clock.